Just give us a little overview, outlook of your team.
Oh, well, after the season you have last year, you do a lot of self-evaluation as a coach and try to see what you can fix and what needs fixing. And basically, we gave the kids a week off and we went back to work November 5th. And, there was no excuses. And I said, we got to get better. It's the first year we've had everybody in the weight room all together as a team. And we went back to a lot of old school stuff the way I learned, back in the day, in the mid to late 90s, back to old Tennessee and some Nebraska strength stuff and, some old, LSU Tommy Moffitt, when Saban was there, his fourth quarter and conditioning program. So we went back and really revamped our, off-season strength conditioning program, and our kids got, bigger, they're faster, we're stronger, and we're in a lot better shape than we've ever been. That weight room develops a work ethic, and some of the kids didn't make it. Our numbers are up, even though we had a lot more strenuous of an off season. But that's what we needed. We were a young team last year. We had 14 ninth graders on the field at some time. But the experience they got, I know we took a lot of lumps, but the experience they got from doing that is going to pay dividends for us in the future.
What do you think has been the biggest thing you've seen from your team trying to bounce back from last year?
I think it's just the continuous improvement every day. It's day in, day out work. I mean, when you're sitting there about mid-January, mid-February, and you on that squat rack, and it's cold outside, and you're tired, and and I was in there by myself. We don't have a lot of big staff, so I'm yelling and screaming and hollering at them, and there was no, sometimes, oh man, coach, there was none of that. It's, coach, we have a saying, it's not what we have to do, it's what we get to do. And, they understand that. They embrace, the work ethic that we're trying to get them. And there was no complaining. And the people that didn't like how things were going, they didn't make it. But I think the biggest thing is our attitude with our kids. It's our fourth year there together. They understand what I expect from them, and and the kids. These guys have been with us, every year. So now instead of being coach led, it's kind of being more player led. And I think that's the biggest difference. Of there's no role. We're gonna run another sprint. Oh, you get some eye roll. We don't have any of that, because they understand that expectation. This is what we're going to do. Is how we're going to do it. And there's hard work's the only way you're going to win. So they start to understand that.
Graham, how do you see the team responding to the struggles of last year?
I see the team working much harder than we have in the past few years. Like, we are all a lot stronger and a lot faster than we have been because of how much we've worked, because we don't want to see what happened last year happen again.
What do you think, Isaiah?
I think the biggest thing is, now the players are choosing disciplined behavior over default. See, last year a lot of it was default, I do what I want to do, and we get the results we got last year. Now that we're choosing disciplined behavior, and we're all kind of buying in and just sitting on a path to get to a better season.
Sometimes the team will have a season of struggle like you guys have,
Yep.
And you can say, the offense struggled, defensively struggled. You guys struggled on both sides
Yes.
of the ball. So what was a point of emphasis particularly when you got to spring practice? Was there one side? I know you want to be better in all classes, but was there something that you guys really zoned in on and said, hey, we got to do this better?
Physicality. We got to be more physical. And, last year, you have so many young kids, and the thing about it is the average age of our young kids, they're about 13 or 14, and most, other kids, they start school a little later, they're starting ninth graders at 15, sophomores at 16. So our kids, are a year younger, but, you got to be careful when they're that young to beat them up in practice, and then, it's going to hard to get them to Friday night. But what we wanted to emphasize is we, spent a lot of time in the weight room, and we wanted those kids to feel what the weight room did for them. When you spend all that time and you hit somebody and, you've gone up 80, 90 pounds of max and squat, et cetera, bench press, you feel that thump a little bit more. So we were full pads every day except for 2 days. We had a little walkthrough days, and we had a tough scrimmage. We practiced, the old school way as long as we could, due to the limitations. But, I think that was the biggest thing that we wanted to see is, a lot of fundamentals. We kept things very basic and simple. Of course, we wanted to have fun, but it was more of a physical, there was some kind of toughness drill every single day.
And when you talk about trying to develop your team to be more physical, did you have to get creative in doing that because of the contact rules?
Yes, you do. You know, the old school days of line up and do Oklahoma for 30 minutes, you know, those are over with. So you as a coach, you got to research and find that fine line of player safety, keeping kids safe. But you got to do, as a coach, you got to do a great job of teaching, you know, head out of the game, blocking, tackling, you know. That's what you got to do as a coach, and hopefully that will spill over into your drills. You know, we spent a lot of time with that, talking about the offseason, visiting people, you know, everything we could do. But, you know, there's something about you got to put the full pads on, you got to hit people. You know, and that's the way football is always going to be, hopefully. You know, the way it's going, you know, you get a little nervous about it, but you got to, like I said, you got to be smart, you know, with the kids, but they got to understand that the games are won by who's going to be the most physical football team. And, you know, that's what we've tried to instill in these kids.
For you two guys, what do you two guys think? Do you feel like you guys are a more physical group? And if so, how did you guys develop that?
I definitely think that during the spring we hit a lot harder than we have been in the past, and that's because of like the drills that coaches putting us through, and our coaches are always, you know, forcing us to be better than we are and always hitting a little bit harder.
And I think the biggest thing with that, along with the drills coaches put in, is just doing it all full speed every rep. Because if you're not going full speed, then it's kind of hard to be the most physical guy if you're not going full speed everywhere.
Did you guys play any games with replay last year?
No, I don't think so.
Will you guys have it at your stadium this year?
No.
What do you think of it?
I think it's good for high school football. But when you're at a place, you know, even though we're a private Catholic school, you know, everybody thinks we got this unlimited budget. You know, we don't. We get zero money from state or zero money from anybody. We are self-sufficient. So that is a cost that, you know, you sit down and you do your budget, you got your wants and your needs. I mean, your wants, your needs are your, you know, player, you know, equipment, et cetera, and that's a want. Now, if, you know, if I have extra money or if somebody was willing to do it, you know, that's something we could probably do. But that's just not something that right now in our budget that we could afford. I think it is good, though. I think there are some situations where, you know, it could cost, you know, a coach's job. It can cost you a chance in the playoffs and all. But, you know, I think our refs do a pretty good job of doing it. I mean, there's always going to be, on Sundays, on Saturdays, there's always going to be, you know, problems, and they're not going to get everything right. But, you know, I like it, but it's just not something that I think all high schools can afford.
Coach, and the players, we're in the day of social media. For the players first, how has that played into your game? How you prep for the week? Game day?
For me, the biggest thing, I try to stay off social media as much as possible on game day.
Sure, Coach, you're glad to hear that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like,
I really am off social media. Like I might post a picture of me in my football uniform at one point, but that's really it. I'm not too big on it.
Coach, how you using it?
Well, I use it, you know, I tweeted today, and I use it to promote our program. You know, I don't do any, you know, personal social media. The way we use it is to promote our program, you know, to use, you know, hey, you know, practice gets counsel, you know, et cetera. It's a way for our parents to kind of communicate. But the number one way we use it is to promote, you know, our program. And, you know, I know that cell phones are an issue, but what we do is our kids are not allowed to have cell phones in the locker room. They walk into practice, there's a box. They leave their cell phone in a box. When they leave practice, they get it. Now, the only time they're allowed to have it is on game days if they want to listen to music. But, you know, too many things. A kid might think it's a funny joke and they're videoing something. You know, even though we have coaches in the locker room and supervision, it might not be a joke to the other parents. So then you're creating something that, you know, you shouldn't have. So, you know, we really do educate our kids about social media, what they say, because once you press click, I mean, it's there. It's not leaving.
Coach, you're entering your fourth season as John Carroll head coach.
Mm-hmm.
What have you done been asking this question today. What have you done as a head coach to bring back John Carroll Cavalier football and pride back to the school and the community?
Well, I think we've tried to do, and we've done a good job, is connected to past guys. Like I said, a few years ago, we renamed the field after Pat Sullivan. We've reached out to, T.J. Slaughter, Alan Pizzatola, some guys donating, a few dollars to our program. We've tried to, we're doing a $10,000 giveaway fundraiser, like a drawdown, to bring a bunch of the old alumni back. We're getting out in the feeder schools as much as possible, getting out in the Catholic churches and in our diocese as much as possible, and just try to be visible, and have an open door policy. I was eating lunch, about 3 weeks ago, and I was with my middle school coach talking about middle school football, and there's 2 tables of guys that, they're talking about John Carroll. They're talking about John Carroll football, and they had no idea I was in there. So, that being said, is there's such a connection to our school. I mean, you can go to anywhere, and there's a connection to John Carroll in a business, or somebody's brother, sister, wife, cousin, whatever went there. And so we've tried to just create a John Carroll, kind of we are John Carroll, and bring the pride back. And invite people to games, try to have more fun atmosphere at games.
So the players, y'all been there a while with Coach. What's the biggest change you've seen?
Biggest change is definitely like the culture of the school has definitely become more like football oriented. Like people are excited about what we're doing. People aren't just like brushing it to the side like, oh, that's just football. People are now excited about coming to the games and watching our team play.
And I think the biggest thing is definitely culture. It's like more, they expect us to do good now. It's not, oh, it's just another season or this and that. It's like they expect us to do good. They want to see us do good. And I really think the student body support has grown over the 4 years.
Coach, tell us about the kicking game this year. What's all up with that?
Well, we try to be creative in the kicking game as much as we can, because that's an advantage I think that we have. We've got a young kicker, Seth Seidenfeiden, who kicked on our middle school program last year. He's got a very strong leg. We also have Obi Efedaba back, kicking as well. And but we also kind of like we use the kicking game as kind of on offense and defense. We're trying to take an advantage. We're trying to onside kick. We're trying to fake a punt. We're trying to block punts. We're going to put more emphasis, a lot more this year on the kicking game, because we do have a few more, volunteer coaches to kind of help have more eyes on it. But, that's a third of the game. If you can win, 2/3 of the game, you got a real chance to win. And I believe, our kids, we don't pay lip service to it. In the spring, that was a lot of point of emphasis of, I went and met with Spain Park staff about, special team circuits and how they do things. And so we really implemented a special team circuit. We did every day. We did some in the summer. We're going to implement that back again in the fall. So I think the more time you spend on it, the better you're going to get on it. But it is a huge point of emphasis, and we've already had 2 staff meetings on just kicking game alone.
Who's doing your return this year?
We've got,
One of these 2 men?
he'll have what? If it's him, then we're in trouble. But Isaiah will have an opportunity. But we've got a few other guys. Jeremiah Gibbs, O'Neal Merchant, type guys like that. With some speed that have an opportunity. If we block folks, I mean, our goal is to get 2 first downs on kickoff return. Our goal on punt, we put a baseball guy back there. We want a fair catch it. If it's a good punter, we don't want to lose yardage on that. So as long as they're doing that and not turning the ball over, that's what we ask of them.